Let's talk now, though, to Peter Kirkham, former Detective Chief Inspector in the Metropolitan Police, because the Dangerous Dogs Act, if you want, for want of a better word, was brought in last year, and basically we were told that all XL bully dogs would be banned. But it hasn't appeared to be quite as simple as that. Let's have a look at what Mark Hoborough says. He's the Dangerous Dogs lead, and he's the Chief Constable.
The change in legislation which we saw at the start of last year has been increasing the workload for police forces across the country quite considerably. I think it was impossible to anticipate the numbers of banned dogs that were out there, XL bully types, and I know it was anticipated potentially that it might be about 10,000, but by the time the registration database was closed, it was actually in excess of 55,000 dogs that were registered. What we've seen since that point is an immediate demand of 848 dogs that were surrendered by their owners who'd missed out on the exemption scheme, and policing had to deal with those dogs immediately, which were, you know, in a disposal method of euthanasia. Since that time also, policing's seen in excess of 4,500 dogs which have been seized, which are Section 1 dogs by breed. So illegal dogs that have been reported by members of the community, of which we're very grateful, because these dogs were in the hands of individuals who weren't acting as was requested by us in relation to registering their dogs with DEFRA.
You can see from that it's a very complicated issue, this. I mean, apparently police forces are now spending something like £25 million a year to pay for the kennelling and the veterinary bills of these XL bullies. Let's find out what Peter knows about it. Peter, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
On the face of it, it sounded like a good idea to sort of outlaw these dangerous dogs, but whenever you get involved in these kinds of policies and these kinds of, you know, bans, it's always, you know, wrought with problems, isn't it?
It is, and in this particular case, we knew what the problems were going to be because they arose following the original Dangerous Dogs Act in the first place.
Yeah.
So we knew exactly what was going to happen. You were going to have this backlog of animals that were having to be seized by the police. They had no alternative in various circumstances, and that were then going to have to follow due process in relation to dealing with those animals. That involves time in veterinary kennels, maybe veterinary treatment or whatever, pending a final decision being made. And anyone that's got a pet dog knows that vets are not cheap.
No.
So we knew it was going to cost a lot of money.
Right. But, I mean, I suppose the bottom line is, has it worked in the sense, have they taken more dangerous dogs off the street, so therefore are people safer in their communities, or is there still a problem of these dogs roaming around?
Well, I'm sure they've improved the situation significantly. Removing that number of dogs from the community can only be a good thing, but I don't think anyone would say that there are now zero dogs, dangerous dogs, of the banned breeds out there. There are obviously still some around. How many, I wouldn't like to guess.
And according to a piece I've read here this morning, an awful lot of police time is being used up in the sort of the dealing with this problem. 500,000 hours of police overtime spent dealing with it. You know, and that's not even included in the £25 million figure that the police are spending. I mean, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
You do need to look at the numbers and ask yourself whether or not this was sensible legislation in the first place.
Yeah.
Whether there were other ways of dealing with it, perhaps. But that's the same with any legislation. A lot of road traffic legislation it is the same. It costs money to do.
Yeah.
But if you don't do it, you allow the problem to grow and continue to blight communities.
Yes. So I suppose what you're saying is this is necessary administration that has to be done, but the cost has to be found from somewhere.
Indeed, and that applies to an awful lot of policing. They do a lot of things that people say, well, you know, I wouldn't spend any money on that. But when you ask yourself, well, if they don't do it, if the police don't do it, who is going to do it? And have they got the money, or where's the money going to come for them? You're not going to save very much all around. The bottom line is any sort of policing costs money.
Yeah. Absolutely right. And just on one particular issue that just sort of tickled me, when we heard from Chief Constable Mark Hobrough just there, I was rather amused to see that he's called the, and this is why I'd have a real problem with some of the language that's used now in public sector jobs. He's called the lead of this particular process, the National Police Chiefs Council lead for dangerous dogs. Do you think they can come up with a better title?
I don't know, Mike. I think you've collared them there.
Very good. I take your point. Thank you very much indeed. Well done. Peter Kirkham actually managed to make my joke even funnier. Imagine being called that, you know, the National Police Chiefs Council lead for dangerous dogs. Well, if they were on a lead, there wouldn't be a problem, would there?